Howdy and welcome. I'm Daniel, not Mike, and this is Mike, your board game every bovine.
Hey howdy, we are here to review Token Terrors. This is Daniel, the Nightwing to my Batman.
I'll take it.
All right.
I'll take that as a compliment.
All right, and if you're wondering why I'm in a cow outfit, these is freshly squeezed from my own udders. Here you go. Just for you. Oh man, I should have! I was going to put vinegar and salt and mayonnaise, and I was like, he's not going to drink it, and you drank it. Anyway, if you want to know why, go back to the previous video where he gets his legs waxed or something. We were reviewing Cape May, that's what it was. But before we get into that, let's do an overview of the two-player game, and later on when we get to solo in just a few minutes, we're going to do an overview of the solo game. Token Terrors is a two-player skirmish game that also comes with 6 solo modes that we will look at. But here we go. We've got these miniature tokens. You have a total of 6 factions to choose from. They all have cool little asymmetrical powers, and this here is your battlefield. So each player picks 10 tokens from any factions of their choice. You pick factions in order, one then the other. You don't share factions. So you can have just 2 factions, or you can have, 3, 4, however it ends up working out. The goal of the game is for you to defeat all of your opponent's tokens and put them in the graveyard bag. If you have at least 1 token left and they have none, congratulations, you have won the game. Fantastic. Now, how does battle work? On each turn, you get up to 3, actually, you get exactly 3 actions. You have to take 3 actions. With those 3 actions, you can move, you can attack something that's adjacent. You can also enrage by turning your little guy to the right, which makes him even stronger. Let's say that this was combat, and this guy's attacking them. Combat is determined by threat. Each token gets 1 threat. If they're adjacent to another token of the same time, that adds threat. So in this case, we have 2 threat versus this guy. Now, he's enraged, which means he's stronger, so he has his 1 threat plus 1 for being enraged. He's attacking. The attacker wins the tie. So boom. Oh my goodness. He attacked him and he is out. If you're attacking from a range, like this guy attacking this guy, in order to attack from a range, you get to roll a die. So I'm going to attack him. The token that's being attacked gets to roll a dice. If it's a 1 to 3, then they don't get to dodge. They just are eliminated. If it is a 4 through 6, it was successful, and they get to dodge by moving up to 3 spaces so that they are out of range. That is how combat works. Also with your actions, you can use one of your special abilities. Every single faction has their own special abilities. There are your basics of gameplay. You can also choose to rest by turning backward, and you gain what are called surge points. So if I had 2 and I rested, I would turn this to gain 3. Surge points can be spent at any point during your turn. Once you've completed your 3 actions, you can use your surge points to use additional actions. So let's say I wanted to go, I want to move, move, move. There's my 3 actions. Well, I can spend a surge point to now attack, although that was at a range, so I'd only need to be there. But hey, whatever. So there are melee tokens and there are ranged tokens that you can choose from. You can mix and match as you like. There's a handy dandy little Battlegrounds quick reference guide that helps you on your turn. There's also something pretty cool where you can unlock achievements as you get through the game. So if you win the game and meet certain criteria, then you get to unlock these special envelopes here. I'm not going to give you spoilers by opening it, but what these open up are new rules and new abilities that can be played with. There's also something called grudges, where if you have tokens that are thematically opposed to each other, then there are grudge rules. These are all optional and for advanced play. Do not start with them, just for advanced play. Got a nice little rule book, and of course, I wanted to showcase to you the comic book, which tells you a whole story for all the different factions right here. There you go. That's a brief overview of Token Terrors. And now let's look at some highlights of our gameplay together. If you get 3 soldiers, you're good. 4, yeah.
Well,
you're set to win. From the go.
This is the best that you've done.
This is the best I've done.
I'm so proud of
I
you.
know. I have 2 surge points. Yeah, I had.
I will go ahead and move this one, 1, 2, and then use the march. So 1, 2, 1, 2.
Well, they're gonna take them out one at a time, no matter what. So like, I gotta do something. Oh, it doesn't count.
Okay.
You have to re-roll it,
Thank God.
even if you were gonna win.
Thank goodness.
1.
That was pathetic. It just
That
flopped
was
right
sad.
down.
Do you want to re-roll it?
No, that's fine.
Okay. It doesn't. But no, re-roll it. I don't do that. You gotta roll. I don't like.
It just flopped right out of my
Yeah,
hand.
you gotta at least have a roll. Okay, that was better. That feels decent.
At least move.
Exactly. The other just feels dirty.
Welcome to my ASMR video. Today we're gonna be like.
And that's what's gonna get in there. That's exactly what's going in there. 1, 2, 3, rush. Oh, you're gonna kill me. Well, it was an honor. Good fun.
In general, I like this game. I know you're not a big fan. This is much more up my alley than...
I changed my mind.
Okay.
I want to play it again. But
Alright.
keep going.
Regardless, this is much more up my alley than the Cape May was. It's difficult the first couple times you play. My whole thing is, once you understand the game and the different factions well enough, you understand how there really is counterplay to each and every one of them. Different things may seem like they're hard to go against until you realize what each individual faction is really hyper-specifically made for. Because
You should finish your milk.
I don't want...
I worked really hard for that milk.
I can't have dairy.
That's not dairy. I'm not a dairy cow. I'm a soy cow.
That's awful.
Yeah. What was your favorite faction?
Good question. I like the goblins more than because they play so
I think they're the
differently.
coolest. They're like your ace in the hole.
Right, because they really can be good on their own, where almost every other faction really plays on the fact of playing with each other.
But those are all good positive things. What were some things that you didn't like about it?
I am not a fan of the random chance of the dice. I get the purpose of it. I get that's a draw for some people. For me, with something that's so heavy on planning ahead.
How often, though, do you roll the dice? Like, when do you roll it? And
Well, that depends, because in a game like what we had, we rolled it relatively often because you were using a lot of range.
so how do you mitigate the dice? What mechanism do they have?
They have the device they call the Sure Shot, which allows you to spend an extra movement point to make it even harder. So you have to roll exclusively a 6 to avoid the hit.
Quality of the components. So that's like the quality of the board, the miniature pieces, the artwork that you see. What did you think?
I think the pieces themselves look pretty cool. Again, this is not my forte with the board games and everything. I don't know where the standards are. I think they look...
Which is why you're the perfect reviewer for it.
Perfect. I think they're pretty neat though. They're all, except for the goblins and the swamplings, those are almost identical, I think.
I think they are identical.
They're just a different color.
Yeah.
It's very stylistic, very cool.
Yeah.
The board itself, it's simple. You don't need much for it. It's not bad. It's not amazing. Nothing to write home about. But yeah, it's interesting.
I kind of felt the same. So it has these bags which are neat. The graveyard. I think it's overkill. They're huge for the size of the game.
Yeah.
So this is where you put pieces. You randomly draw from the bag in the beginning. You pick 10 pieces you want. You randomly put them in here. You pull 5 out randomly to see what you start with. So it serves a purpose for that. After that, any pieces that get captured or eliminated, you put them in. Well, I guess dead because it's a graveyard. They get killed. You put them in the graveyard. It's neat, but it's huge compared to this. It's as big as the board. So I thought that was a little silly, but it's a neat idea. Oh yeah, it has a comic book. It has a 20-page comic book with a whole story on the different factions and their rivalries and all that.
That is something only you can talk about.
Yes,
I don't know anything about that.
Yes. So, in the gameplay, what do you think? Abstract is chess. There's no story. And then theme would be you feel like you're different factions and that they have rivalries and things like that.
I guess, you said they have a comic book and they have some of those the knights and the elves and all that. You can, if you want to follow that comic book that they have. As far as how the game actually works, there isn't really anything. I mean, they have this neat little I guess, upgrade system or unlock system based on the games you play, if you want to play it that way, where you have the Wyverns versus the robot helicopters or whatever, and it continues the story of it, which is neat. I like the idea, but as far as the game is concerned, it doesn't actually change much of anything.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. How about difficulty? Does it seem like it's scalable, like you can make it easier or harder? It would just depend on your combinations, and that would be like trial and error. You can definitely make it harder.
You can make it harder, but
I don't think you can make it easier.
There's the issue of who you're playing with as well, because knowledge of the game takes you a long ways.
Yes.
If you play this for the first time against someone who's played it 3 or 4 or 7 times, you're at a very heavy disadvantage.
Or who's played chess thousands of times.
That's not the same.
It's not the same.
Unrelated.
But it's very similar. It's very similar.
Unrelated.
It's very, very similar.
Unrelated.
With asymmetric powers.
Unrelated.
No, totally related.
Because if you play with another person, there are a lot of different combinations. You could have just 2 factions and, scope them in a very specific way to play it alongside each other, and then if your opponent does something different, each game is going to play out differently.
Would you play it with me again?
I would. This one, I would definitely do again.
Okay.
This one was fun and enjoyable for me.
Let's go to the solo mode. Goodbye, Daniel.
Bye.
All right, welcome back. It's so good to be by myself again. No, actually, I love having Daniel back here. But let's look at the solo mode. So this game comes with, it's called Battle Blocks, and there are 6 of them. Each one is about $13. You should see all of that on the screen here. You can get all 6 for like $60, something like that. So each one is a standalone game that happens in the same world as Token Terrors. It's the same little tokens, but they are standalone. So you do not need to own the 2-player base game. So if you're just looking for solo mini games, that's what these are. So these are called mini games, which means they are miniatures, mini games that play anywhere from 15 minutes to honestly 30 minutes for the Goblin one. Okay. So I'm not going to run down what every single one of them is like, but here's a brief rundown of how some of them work. Token Terrors mini games battle blocks. There are actually 6 different battle blocks. You buy each individually. They are standalone games. We have the Gauntlet, where you play as soldiers. You give commands to the soldiers by placing 3 actions. Where you place them depends on what you get to command your soldiers over here to do. Your soldiers obey those commands by moving forward and combating based on what you did or defending in order to defeat a continuing onslaught of training dummies. The soldiers try to advance to the top and survive while enemies keep getting placed. Then over here we have First Hunt. First Hunt, you play as the elves that are hunting the great hunt in the woods to prove themselves to the elven elders. At first, the different animals are hiding in the bushes. You don't know what they are. But at different phases, they get flipped over and they advance forward based on the direction of the arrows. You try to predict where they will land beforehand, and if they land on one of your arrows, you are successful and you place them in your success pile. In order to win, you have to get so many hunts correct. If the animals land on you, you have to dodge. Then we come over here to the Goblins Mining. The Goblins Mining, you place your goblins over here in order to take certain actions that allow you to do things like develop specs. So you are building tracks in this game. Then you have to gather the supplies by placing more goblins in the correct spaces, facing different directions to order different things. Once they are produced and they make it all the way up here, then you can place them on the track based on where you have placed your workers over here. You're trying to get a track from the top all the way to the bottom, but you only have so much time. Each time a day passes after taking all of your available actions, you flip one of these over. When there are none left, then you have run out of time and your workers need to have that track complete. Once you complete that track, you go to the next phase and you get the mine cart to get operational and make it all the way down. Alright, so you can see each one of these has a completely different game. They're by different designers. So like the Wyverns one that I've got right here, you are Wyverns trying to make your way up to save eggs while lava and fog and things like that get in your way and try to eliminate you. So it's just all about maneuvering your movements. It does have some scalable difficulty. The Wyvern one is a beat your own score. I didn't play through every one of these. I did get through 4 of them. The Goblins one actually I think stands out the most because it's basically a Euro. This is pretty meaty for a mini game in that you are actually trying to build up. You're creating an engine. The downside to this one is the rule book, which I've found in reviewing a lot of things is the rule book is so important. Even if you have a video, if the rule book isn't easy for solo players to just look at, pick up quickly, it's really going to turn them off, and it's not great for first impressions. Good thing is you can learn the game from it. I did. It doesn't have enough pictures. I don't remember if it had pictures. It may have had a few, but it needs pictures of the items that it's describing because it will reference, like, look at this token, but you don't have a picture of that token. So you can figure it out, but that is something that's an easy fix that I would love to see fixed. I did hear from the designer about it. This is most likely the only print run they'll do of this solo, so I don't know if they'll be adjusting it. Again, you can learn it, but know that ahead of time. You can go online, go to their website, Token Terrors, go to Mini Games, look at the rule book before you buy it, see if you can figure it out. So that's the negative. The other negative, which I also mentioned to the designer, is just the outer boxes that hold. The glue is not very strong, so you have to kind of push it back together. Which again, it's not the end of the world, but for first impressions, that kind of thing goes a really long way, and it's hopefully a pretty easy fix. So hopefully that can get fixed. Other than that, I pretty much just have positives. These are fantastic. Replayability, particularly the Goblins, is pretty high. The Wyverns doesn't have quite as much replayability since it is beat your own score, but if you want a fun 15-20 minute game, that's what you got. If you think that's for you, check it out. Links in the description below. Let's get Daniel back here. Yep, welcome back. So thank you for playing it with me. I enjoyed it. Also, this is a sponsored video, so I would love to know, how did I do? Do you still trust me? No? I didn't ask you. Real quick, hey howdy, little behind the scenes here without all the special lights on in the studio here. We have really been enjoying making these videos for you, and something that helps us a lot is your subscribership, so please consider liking and subscribing so that we can keep making these, and so publishers keep finding us and sending us along interesting games that we can tell you more about. Thank you. So we have picked our next game that we're going to play together. It is both a multiplayer and a solo game, and it is...
You can't step over.
I can't do the Riker.
That is not happening.
I can't do the Riker.
That's
shit.
not happening.
Do you know the Riker?
Yeah, that's not happening.
It did happen.
I'm so proud of you.
There you go. Okay, so this is Small Islands by Lucky Duck, and it has, I think it's a 1 to 4 player game. So we'll play it together, and then of course I'll play it solo. And as always, we will have a loser punishment. Since I lost this game, obviously, I get to choose the punishment. So we're going to clear this table off and let Daniel actually pick from some options.
Cool.
So I have here a very large box of Mike's box of unfortunate events. And there are 3 items in here. And I want you to lay out all 3 items, hold them up to the camera.
Okay.
And you're going to pick the item that you want to keep. And I will tell you the loser's punishment that matches that item.
That's concerning.
Okay. Just make sure everybody sees the whole thing.
Oh, red joggers of some kind. That's cute. I like it.
Yeah.
Very stylish.
Yeah.
Very beautiful.
Okay.
Lay that out. Got a nice, cute little blow dryer.
Conair Special.
Okay.
With the flat thing.
Wow.
I was proud of that.
I have one too.
Okay. Well, good for you. Good for you. Fancy.
And some nasty, dirty sneakers.
Those are not. Those are my work sneakers.
They're nasty and dirty.
Okay.
AF1.
There you go. All right. So which item do you want to pick?
The one that makes me the least nervous is the blow dryer.
Okay. All right. Put the others back in the box.
Okay. I just don't think I'd look very good in these pants.
Oh, you wouldn't be wearing them.
I don't care.
That's what it symbolizes.
That
Yeah.
makes me nervous
You actually
anyways.
picked the worst one.
Oh, beautiful.
This is the one that I was hoping you would pick, but I don't know how you're gonna feel about it, especially if you lose. So the blow dryer, you know the 90s, right? Like
Yeah.
1990s.
Yeah.
1990s senior high school photos.
Okay.
You know, like when you were a kid and you had like the straight up hair.
Perfect.
Okay. So the loser has to do a 90s senior photos photo shoot in an outfit and poses of the winner's choosing, and they're going to be scattered throughout the next video.
That sounds amazing.
That is amazing.
I'm not losing.
That is amazing. So look forward to that. Thank you all. I love you all.
You too.
All right. See you next time. Oh, you dog. I hate that. Snuggle in there with your cow buddy. You just do you. That's great.
I don't know. Howdy and welcome. Now I'm messing up. I hope you're happy. Howdy and welcome. Oh, God.